All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we're at the Playbook to Success webinar where we have a special guest, and we'll get to that in a second. But first, we just want to lay the groundwork and talk what we talk about each time we get on here. The Playbook to Success is based on my four pillars of success, and they're leadership, communication, acceptance, buy-in, and most important, execution on all levels and every aspect of your life. And tonight we have somebody who has mastered all four. And it's just a blast from the past because I got to give y'all a quick backdrop. I remember when I was a little kid, he came to one of my camps, and I was just like starstruck. Like, and my dad was looking at me like, "Why are you nervous? Like, you never care about nobody." I'm like, "Nah, this dude is like for real." And just to see how it transformed in life, and we're in this space now. Um, we just want to say thank you so much, Craig, for even jumping on. But just in case people don't know who you are, I always try to like give a visual so they can know who you are. So just for a quick second, we're going to share this screen and give you a little highlight reel to make sure you know and respect the gentleman on this screen.
Appreciate it, brother.
Always, man. We always try to show some love.
Okay.
I didn't mean to bring it up there. Right. Bring out the ball. It's everybody against two. Two.
I see the smile on your face, man. Let's
Right.
start off. Let's start off from right there. What goes through your mind when you see that right now?
Man, first of all, brother, I want to thank you and thank God for giving us an opportunity to be able to sit here this evening during these crazy circumstances on the planet, man. And, looking back at that, it's so many memories, man, of the work put in from the time I was a shorty on the school ground in Chicago Heights, Illinois, and, growing through those points of being able to live up to your dreams, man, to the point, like you say, you put goals in front of yourself as a youngster. And as you get older, you try to expand on those as best you can. And for me, I was blessed to grow up in a family where civil rights, civil rights was the main portion, but for me, it was an educational process. And I had great teaching out of my household for sports as well as education. So student athleticism was something that was given to me at a young age, man. And I just thank God for the family that I came up in and to be able to realize the dreams of basketball and now just to be able to know that we're working towards the solutions that are going to change the planet.
I love it. So if we start there, let's start at the journey. Where does it begin? Where give us a brief description, like your earlier years. You said
Right.
you were playing at a younger age. What was
Right.
it like for you? You're a tremendous. You're probably one of the best shooters I've ever seen walk the planet.
Right.
What was that like for you? How did you develop as a player?
Well, like I said, I was blessed, man. My uncle I was born in 1960, and in 1963, my uncle led junior colleges in scoring. He averaged close to 34 a game. So at a young age, I was taught sports, but my granddad told me when I was 6 years old that I was going to be a catcher in baseball, and that was my way to the big show, and the big show was baseball. So at 6 years old, it was put on me that I was going to be a professional athlete, and I never wavered from not seeing that as the long picture, not looking at high school basketball or college basketball, but it was that professional goal was put in my mind from the sports end at a young age, and now it was all about the training. So when the training regimen comes into play, and you buy into the process, and that was one of the things that when we did our camps in Bermuda, that we were trying to get you guys to realize that it's a process. It's not something that happens overnight. You know, I was blessed to grow up in the 60s when a time where the community embraced young, it was programs within the community that were run by men in the community. So we had viable role models, and those role models gave you challenges. And oftentimes those challenges would be some that you thought were insurmountable. You know, I could think of the times when my uncle would take me on the school ground and wax my head, you know, and tell me I better not go home crying after he
Right.
elbow me in the throat and
Right.
everything else. And just knowing that those are the lessons that in the long haul, it gives you the courage to be able to go forward when you may be in a situation where you think, man, I got to go out here. I'm all by myself, but you're never alone. You know, you have those lessons that were taught to you as well as the spiritual side of things.
So talk me through that. You're young. You have these, I like to call them protection barriers around you. That's what I think our community should be for our youth. But you had these protection barriers around you. But talk me through it. Like, you start developing as a player, and as much as the protection's there, it can be pulled down by society and, you know, people in your ear. How did you navigate through that?
You know, and I tell people, you know, and Brother Fred and Bernie can tell you, man, that I was a scared young brother, man. I was a wallflower. I didn't, you know, I was scared of my own shadow at times. But at the same time, my focus was so much on sports and making sure that I succeeded, but also, you know, the underlying principle of education was always foundational to me. So I knew from that standpoint that you know, student and studying, I love doing that, and I still love doing that. So that was never really the issue. The issue was me being strong enough through these challenges, whether it be, you know, some of my friends and young brothers that I was with, when I would see them doing certain things that I knew would be a detriment to me, because my uncles told me certain things that I needed to stay away from at a young age, that when they confronted me, I had already been prepared from through the lessons that they told me what the result of it would be. And I think my mom always tells me how you don't always have to experience the lessons, but if you just look at the results of other people, you know. So for me, you could look at brothers who had great talent, but they wanted to gang bang, you know, and you had young brothers who wanted to do drugs, but wanted to be athletes at the same time. And you could see where it was a fall off, even though they were great talents or whatever. It was a certain stamina that they couldn't excel with because of the drawback of drugs and alcohol or whatever it may be. And we were in that environment young enough to be able to make those decisions that would prove critical in our lives, man, and moving forward. And to be able to get through them and look back at it and say that, and really look at it and be like, you know, it's a choice. And that you really, if we all look at our lives and really be honest with ourselves, that those things that have not gone the way that we think they should have gone, we had a lot of impact on them by the choice that we made, whether going into it or moving out of it in a certain way where we may have thought it a failure, but every failure is just a lesson for the next mission. You know what I'm saying? So that we can continue to move forward, man. So it's like you say, it's that, I call it my support base, man. My support base is so tight that, you know, we had people and men, and that, I think that's one of the biggest things in our community, is that the men are being incarcerated, being murdered, and being minimalized. That they aren't there where programs can be founded through them where once they were. And I was blessed to be in that generation. So right now, you and I having this conversation is a solution to those things, so that now it can be an international safety net, what you speak of.
I love it, man. I love the fact that the community still exists in you, you know? Sometimes when people get into the high life or get into that realm of success, they forget about it. And they don't come out of it and teach it to those that come behind them. They simply just go through their experience, and it's just.
Right. You know, one of the things that I think, like I said earlier, man, is that to have been a part of the civil rights movement, my mom was the secretary for the movement, and the brother that was the president by the name of Robert Lowe, Lord rest his soul, I saw real live leadership, man, as a young boy going to meetings and watching us plan for marches and organizing and doing things that in this generation, I see it, you know, the vicious cycle coming back around. I see the energy, but I don't see the organization. And I see where, you know, we're utilizing a lot of enthusiasm and we're galvanizing strength through pain and suffering. But at the same time, the organizational strategies aren't as prevalent as they were. And a lot of times I even think that they're being usurped through outside entities.
Let me ask you this, Craig. You know, one of my students asked me this the other day, and he said, you know, Coach Sully, you know, it feels different with this George Floyd situation. It
Mm-hmm.
feels a little different, and the climate of how things are going after it seems to be a little different.
Yeah.
What is your take on that? Do you see it as that, or do you see it as a lot of people do? I like to call it the church syndrome. You know what I'm saying? You get baptized, you high on the life, and you like, woo, yeah. And then it drops off, and then it's like, where they go? You know what I mean?
Right.
What is your take on the climate now, and how do you feel about the incidences that have happened as it pertains to what you've seen in the past?
Right. It's this is what we're seeing is the deliverance of a people, right? And that no one on the planet can really perceive it because the historical barriers have been such that this whole mythological syndrome has been put over the planet to where the eradication of the evil triplets that Dr. King spoke of, racism, militarism, and economic exploitation. When we look at those evil triplets, that's what was accomplished in the enslavement of our people coming out of Africa. And what you're seeing and witnessing now is the freedom of a people, man. And it's not coming from us. It's not coming from an armed movement. It's not coming from anything like that. It's coming from the fact of what the ancestral struggle did and what our ancestors went through in order to prove who we are. And so it's so uplifting for me just to see it, and not from the standpoint of the death of George Floyd. But let me show you something and share something with you, brother, and the people who are watching, is that when you study the way America highlights the death and murder of Black people, Breonna Taylor was murdered in her home, all right? Sandra Bland was murdered in a similar manner to my brother, all right? But when sisters are murdered in America, they want it off of the front pages and the news real quickly because they realize that their truly essential workforce is the Black woman in America, all right? And that Dr. King taught us boycott. So just in the structural of Black people in America. And when I say Black people, we have to, one of the things that is real critical right now, brotherhood, is that we have to come with our original terms of who we are, all right? And we are the Israelites, all right? And I realize that, and I realize who we are, and I realize the reasons who we are, and that's part of the shaking of and the quaking of everybody on the planet is because people have been asleep for over 500, 600 years, unaware of who they are. And now the realization of the planet of who they are is coming to light through death, mayhem, murder, and oppression. And now the planet is standing up on our behalf, you know, which is something. And so when the young brother asks you what is different, that's different. It's different that young white people are standing with old Black people. And that it's a difference. It's a difference when a CEO comes home from a Fortune 500 company and his son or daughter is now challenging his company and his stance on politics, on life, on economics, on race relations. Those are changes, and those are changes that are palpable in society. And that's something that you or I or any of, and even the unity of Black people in totality couldn't bring about. That it had to be something from outside of us to shake people to what they say. Oh, you woke, all right, you woke now. Come on, man, like the NBA. It's amazing to me when we can go play basketball at this day and time, brother. I love the game. I love watching my brothers play. But at the same time, when I see Amaya Moore walk away from the game because she realizes the, the position that we are in right now, and that no fault of our own, no blessing, no cursing, it's just where we are right now. And where we are right now requires a certain courage, a certain will, and a tenacity not to